Thank you, Betsy, Kent, and Candy. And thanks to Liz and Rick, amazing people doing amazing work. I want to take a minute and recognize the amazing staff here at Jazz at Lincoln Center. We talk about relationships and exceeding expectations, and you're in a world-class place right now with world-class people. They're not just technicians. When Terry was talking earlier about 51%ers, you got some terrific 51%ers supporting us today, so thank you, the staff here. I get to figure out how to use this thing. What do I push? Right here. Okay. So, oops, back. Oh, it's good. Okay. First time I use this. I'm learning. You can always learn, right? So, it's interesting because a lot of the talk today, a lot of people talking today were talking about common themes, and honestly, we didn't really compare a lot of notes. And I think some of the common themes that I got are around our sense of purpose, certainly. And the image up here is about rowing, but it's also about steering. So let's talk about purpose for a second. AHRC's purpose is what? Shout it out. Anybody. What's our purpose? Say it. Supporting people with disabilities. What else? And their families. That's two purposes or one? Giving them respect and dignity. What else? You got to yell. Social justice. Social justice. I like that. I like them all. One more. Keeping people alive? I agree with that. That's a good one. That's the best one so far. Okay, that's good too. What about your purpose? What's your purpose? Somebody shout it out. Telling stories. Good. What else? Making a difference. What else? Showing that people's lives have value. Excellent. Good. Okay, so we have our purpose, right? But let's talk about this for a second again. So people in this room, you're leaders in this organization. Do leaders steer or do they row? They do both. So what happens if you row a lot? What if you're rowing all the time as a leader? What happens? You get tired. What else? You go in a circle, maybe. Do you know where you're going? Right. What if you steer all the time? What happens? If leaders steer all the time, what happens? They don't row. What are your staff going to think about you? Right, so you got to do both. You got to do both in balance. So I think it's a key point here that we need to row and steer at the same time and have the focus as to know when to do it. So remember this from this morning, the Ikigai, the purpose thing? So this is another principle I want to go over pretty quickly, and it kind of resonates with what Terry was talking about. This is actually a purpose diagram for the Four Seasons hotel chain, which is a top-tier international hotel chain. Ever stay there? I haven't, but if you, I had a drink at the Four Seasons Georgetown a couple times. My son was in college down there. The service was unbelievable, and the drink wasn't bad either. But take a look at this. You'll get a copy of this later on. The key here really is that this is about collective ambition, working together for a common sense of purpose. And on the outer perimeter of this diagram are the things that leaders do. They develop self and others, they deliver results, they innovate daily, and they lead hearts and minds. Does that apply to us too? You want to open a hotel? Really, all joking aside, it's a totally different outcome. People sleeping in beds and having breakfast and then leaving and then paying for it. That's different than what we do. But look at the commonality here in terms of the elements, the core values, strategic and operational priorities, the vision. We need a diagram like this for AHRC New York City. So you need a great team to do this kind of stuff. And you've heard about a bunch of this today, but I want to just go really, really quickly. There's something about the upper right quadrant in this world. I don't know what it is. But here, being psychologically safe, which Tony mentioned before, is absolutely critical to having effective teams, but also having cognitive diversity, different ways of thinking. And if you look at this, in terms of what we need to be generating here as an organization. We really need to generate opportunities to capitalize people's curiosity, their inquiry, nurturing environments, and other things that really make us a terrifically talented set of teams across AHRC New York City. The quadrant we want to avoid is which one? The lower left. The lower left is all about negative energy. Negative energy is the enemy of excellence. One of your most important responsibilities as leaders in this organization is to prevent negative energy in your programs. Is there any negative energy in this room today? No freaking way. It's unbelievable. And so you got to take this energy back. Positive energy really conquers many, many problems. You need details behind it, but you have to have that positive energy. We don't need toxic workspaces in this organization. We got to be sure we have none. Think about where your team was on that. So I'm going to get very specific and very granular for a minute. You heard about some great ways of seeing the world today, some great stories. A lot of you cried this morning. I did too a little bit. You learned some really good skill sets, I think, from some of our speakers. You got inspired. Do you do these things? I'm not going to read these things to you now. Do you do these things? You do? Good. I'm not going to say it's okay if you don't, but if you don't, start doing it, because this is the granular detail that we need you to engage in on a regular basis with the staff you support, so they can be effective with the people that we support. This is critical, absolutely critical. So if I have to summarize sort of what I believe strong leadership is about, besides hitting yourself in the chest with a microphone, is great leaders are seeders, feeders, and weeders. They seed the organization with great, passionate, committed talent. They feed that talent with professional development, with collaboration, with ways of seeing the world in a more powerful way, with embracing this idea of social justice, because when you leave your job, you are still promoting social justice. You need to be seeders and feeders, and we need to help you be better feeders. One of those top 2 issues up there that came up was about how we can continue to develop you and the rest of the organization. And you have to be weeders. We can't let people be in this organization who have negative energy, that made the mistakes that Terry was talking about earlier. Look, we all make bad hires. We know there are incredibly challenging staffing issues in this organization and any other organization that's doing the work that we do. And we need to make probably some concessions to some extent. But we have to make hard choices too. We cannot have people in this organization who don't behave in ways that are basic around dignity, respect, humanity, and a commitment to excellence. Mediocrity is not okay. Thank you. So, is this a management philosophy? It's funny, because I actually got this image off of a paper on a management philosophy. So I don't know if it is or not. It's kind of interesting. But I'm going to close up today with a proposal for a management philosophy. And some of you were involved in helping to craft this. We had about 50 or 60 people on very short notice jot down things they thought were important for AHRC in terms of a management belief system or behaviors for leaders. And I'm going to read this one. So I think it's absolutely critical that we embrace what's up on this screen, that we have an effective, progressive, and meaningful leadership approach that's grounded in a participatory management open door policy, the foundation of which is open, honest, constructive, direct, positive communication. It's absolutely critical. And all of that is intended to support the values and mission of this organization and to realize the potential in everyone, including you, the families and the individuals, including you. So my job is to do whatever I can to create an environment and get the resources to realize your potential. I'll do that if you commit to this management philosophy. So I want to close by getting some agreements and some closure on the day. So I got notes here too, and I'm going to read it to make sure I'm right. So today, let's agree to do this. Let's respect, celebrate, and build upon our founder's vision for a better world for people with disabilities, or people who may seem different. Let's always remember that we are part of a social justice movement grounded in our common humanity, in human potential, and in respect and dignity for all. Let's commit to one another to lead and make the change we need to preserve our powerful legacy and unlock the positive power in our future. I'm going to close with this. Who knows Martin Neal in this room? Anybody? So Martin is an individual who's blind. He came to AHRC a few years ago. He's on the AHRC on Broadway troupe. He's pretty amazing. He wrote a book, called My First Time on Broadway. And there's a poem in the book. And here's the poem. It's time to step up. It is time to speak for ourselves. Don't let anyone put us down for things that we could not do. We are our own judges. We are here to stand for ourselves. It is time for us to spread messages to others. It is time for us to let people know what we can and what we cannot do. Let us all step up to be brave and never be afraid of what is coming our way.